Okay. So we are painting the gnome. I'm pretty sure I have this on regular video. Fingers crossed. I will be pretty upset if this happens to me again and do the time lapse. So, the gnome. Here I have my board. I'm all, just if you've got any sawdust from where I drilled the holes, go ahead and just wipe that all off. You want a nice clean surface. I've got all my paint here on my plate. You have 6 colors, white, aqua, black. This one is called Venetian red. It's like a burnt orange color. Red, yellow. Got your mixing plate. You're gonna need a little container for water to clean out your brushes and to keep them while you're not using them so they don't lay out and get all dry and crusty. Here I'm using 2 size brushes. I have this medium one and the smaller one. Okay, so I'm gonna get going here. Well, hold on just one second. I'm gonna grab the one that I have painted before just so I can look at it for reference. Okay, so here is the goal. So I'm gonna start with just white and I'm gonna do the beard and the ears. So I'm gonna start with the ears first, just white on my brush. And because there's this line here where the ear folds, I'm gonna paint those pieces separately. That way when I go in with the pink on the inside and the gray, I'll still be able to see this shape because of the way my brush strokes go. So it's just nice, smooth, even paint. You don't want globs. You will need 2 or 3 coats on this, just for nice, good, even coverage. So when I come in here and do this, I'm just gonna keep it separate so that I can still see where that ear folds. So I'm just taking my time, going nice and slow, getting nice smooth lines. Make sure you get the outside edge where that pencil line is covered. You don't want your painting when you're finished to be outlined in white. Just nice, smooth paint. This is pretty relaxing, I think. It is easier to do it if you have it flat on a table, my arm gets tired when I have to stand or use an easel. Table easel. 2, either one. Sorry, I'm just yammering. I don't really know what to talk about while I'm doing steps that just take time. Alright, so I've got that nice, smooth, even. Just make sure you get all your globs kind of spread out. This is definitely going to need more than the one coat. But while that's drying, I'm just going to come down and I'm going to work on my beard. So on the edges, we don't just want to do a nice smooth edge like this. We need to flick it out so he's kind of furry and fluffy. So your edge is messy. I just use the side of my brush and just kind of flick downward. That way he's, you know, it's a beard, it's hairy. He's not all clean cut. And you want to do that while you're doing your first step, because if you just do the edge now and then go, oh, I think I'll go back in later and do that part, you're going to see a distinct line where you've got your coat of white and then you try to go back in and add this. It's going to take a lot of coats to just cover up that difference. So do it first coat. I'm going to go around his little nose. If you get a little sloppy, it's all right. You can fix the shape later when we paint that in. Do your best though. Nice smooth lines around my egg. I feel like you can probably see the side of my head when I'm in here painting. Sorry, I didn't put makeup on. I haven't even washed my hair yet. I've been busy. Showers are a luxury. I'm going around the arms, trying to stay neat and tidy. Can always clean them up though. When we go back in to paint them, our edges will look a lot better. Around his little boots. Again, on this side, you need him to be fluffy. And just flick down with the side of my brush. Okay, so there I've got one coat of white on my ears and my beard. So I'm just gonna go back in, another coat of white. Again, make sure you're painting this ear that has the fold in the 2 separate sections. That way you can keep that shape. If you just painted it all in, you would have to freehand that shape in later, which is not that challenging of a shape. But I know you people, you stress out over the littlest things. So I'll keep it easy for you. I just had lunch from Ridge Runners, Fish Fry Friday. That was excellent. Shout out to Kim over there. Thank you very much. You guys should definitely place to-go orders. They've got killer breakfast. This is my favorite. It's right in Oakland. It's on Parkhurst Street. So 2 coats of white on the ears currently. I'm gonna go back down, get another coat on his beard. Just nice, thin, even coat. No globs. Just little bits of paint on your brush at a time. Again, you're gonna wanna overlap and layer onto the fur. That also needs another coat. My brain is like mush. I woke up way too early this morning. I knew my boyfriend brought my lunch over to me at the studio. I knew if I went home to eat it, I would fall asleep. And I have way too much to get done. No time for napping. Just keep pushing forward. Now I won't be able to get the truck painted again until tomorrow morning. That'll be Saturday. Just because I don't have another piece of wood available at this very moment. My dad is going to be cutting my lumber for me when he gets home from work this evening. So I'll be busy staining all the boards tonight. And tomorrow, when I get up, I'll come over, start doing all the sketches on these kits that I'm painting right now, that you now have in your possession. I'll get all them sketched up and all put together for you. I've been keeping pretty busy. So thank you all. I don't know what I'd do if I didn't have this to do. One can only watch so many shows on Netflix. Okay, so I got my second coat. Going back for a third coat. I know, this isn't all that riveting, listening to me yammer on, but I know you're busy painting. And I'll probably be ahead of you. Most likely, you'll just pause the video, catch up, and carry on. Yeah, this third coat is perfect. So just the 3 coats Like it's still a little splotchy, but that's all right. We're gonna be mixing gray in. I mean, this still needs the third coat, but we'll be mixing gray into this, and won't even know. Make sure again, you just keep that fold shape, kind of loosen it a little. I can still see it. Okay, so there. Ears have their final and third coat down to the beard. Let's hit that again and we'll call it good. Again, please make sure you get your fluff and then all those little spriggies of his hair. So I think next, once we finish all this white, we're gonna do gray. We'll be adding that into the beard and also on the ears. I think that makes sense to do that next. I'm just thinking out loud. Usually when I'm doing the class in front of you guys at the studio, I just keep that to myself. Because honestly, I paint these so long ago, I don't really remember the steps that I took to paint it. I just go in and start with what just makes sense. So the next time I paint it, it might not be in this order. I try to do anything that's gonna be overlapped. Like this stuff is gonna be like in front of the beard. So it makes sense to do anything that would be behind it first. That's my logic. Okay, beard complete. Now we're gonna be making gray, so the white on our brush is fine. You don't need to clean it out. I'm gonna do kind of a light gray, light to medium. And I'm just gonna take a little bit of black, not very much on my brush, and just stir it in with an area of my white. Now you don't wanna use all of your white, just some of it. And you might wanna just keep your paint reserved in your little cups and then just scoop out what you need as you use it. Yeah, you know what I mean. But just make sure when you go to scoop out from your cups, you're doing it with a clean brush. Because if you go diving into your white and you've got red on it, your white is ruined. And I'm not there to squirt more on your plate. So just be aware of that. So there's kind of a nice medium gray. It's more on the light end, I guess. I'm just gonna start brushing it right in, giving them little furs. And I'm overlapping onto the arms just because I don't want there to be like a big halo around where the arm is. So you can just kind of get right on there. It'll cover later when we paint it. Same with the egg. Excuse me. I'm just brushing in some gray. And if you feel like you've got too much in there, it's like getting too gray, just go back on top. You just take some of your white and just layer on top and it'll bring it back. So I've got quite a bit of gray in there, which is fine, it's fairly light. I'm gonna also take this gray and kind of create on the outside edge, because the inside is gonna be pink, so I'm just gonna kind of create that shape where that will be like a very pale pink. And then I'm just gonna brush a little bit of this gray around the outside edge. So here, I'm just gonna leave on the edge, and inside here would be pink. I'll swoop around where it folds this line with the gray. And I'm just gonna brush a little bit on the edges. A little bit on the top too. Okay, so the light gray, pretty much done with that for now. I'm gonna make this a little bit darker. To do that, a little bit more black, stirred in. So that is noticeably darker than what I started with. And I'm going to add a few more little furs. Not as much as I did before. Definitely on my edges, I kind of want to get those defined a little. And a few throughout the rest. And I'm being sloppy here on the feet and the arms and the egg and all that. Because when we paint those, it'll overlap and cover. I'm also going to take this gray. I'm just going to define this a little bit more on these edges. And just a little bit down there at the bottom. Okay, so we've done the light gray and the darker gray. Now I can clean out my brush because we're going to do all like the turquoisey aqua color. And that is his hat and his little arms. Actually, we should probably paint the egg first. We're gonna do the egg before the hat, so I retract. That way when we do the arms, the egg is already done. We don't have to be super neat and tidy with the fingers. Well, the thumb, he doesn't have fingers. So nice clean brush, and we're gonna make a very, very light yellow. So I'm just gonna take a scoop of my white, pretty big scoop, and stir in with just a small portion of my yellow. My hand is always in the way, I'm sorry. It's hard to get used to, making sure you can see what I'm doing. I'm learning. So it's still pretty bright, but you can definitely see that there is white added. And I'm gonna scrape the excess off because I don't need to go in there with that much paint on my brush. Just a little on your brush because I don't want globs. And I'm just gonna fill in this whole egg shape with my yellow. And this is definitely gonna need more than one coat. And you don't have to be too particular around the thumb. Your edge up here you do, but the thumb we can correct. Just try not to have globs. I'm so nervous that this is somehow kicked into time-lapse mode. I don't even know what I would do. I would cry. I paid attention when I poked the button. I said video. But I swear, when I did the truck yesterday, I had pushed it video, not time-lapse. Please, please. Let the force be with me. So, I mean, I know I'm painting this yellow, but you don't have to do yours yellow. I mean, you've probably already begun by now. But you could do it pink or orange or something. It doesn't matter. I just liked yellow because I thought the color complemented nicely with the turquoise. Okay, so the one coat complete. Give that just a few minutes to dry, and I can go back in another coat, because I can still see a lot of the wood coming through there, and that's not pretty. Let's see. While we're waiting for that to dry, I might as well just go in and do my inner part of the ears. So I'll clean out my brush. And this is a very, very, very pale pink. So it's just a tiny bit of red mixed in with quite a bit of white. I mean, you don't need a big pile of it. You're just going to do the inside of the ears. But comparatively speaking, the amount of red you use compared to the amount of white you're going to be putting in the mix, it's just a dab. That's even probably too much. Just the tiniest little bit stirred in with significantly more amount of white. And it's very pale, and it does actually look darker once it's on and when it dries. Acrylic paint always dries darker. And I'm just gonna brush that on. That's very pale. Okay, I might be being a little cautious, but it's better to start light than too dark, because that's an easy fix. So I'll just take a little bit more red and stir that in. I'll just brush that right on top. Beautiful. Okay, clean my brush, and I'm gonna go back to that egg. So it's just another coat of your yellow. The yellow we added white to. Oh, it's looking like it's probably gonna need a third coat. Goody goody. It's gonna get polka dots. It might not show. I'm gonna play it safe and do the third coat. Okay, so you see up here, I don't know if you can see on the camera, because my paint wasn't fully dry right there, it pulled it off of my wood. And it kind of left this like kind of hole. So I'm gonna leave that alone and make sure it's dry for sure the next time I go back in, because those are really hard to get covered. All right, I'll just kind of dab it. Yeah, that doesn't work. Okay, so while I'm waiting for that to dry, let's do the nose. I think, yeah, we can do the nose. No, I'm gonna wait and do the nose till after we do the hat. So let's go ahead, we can do the hat and the boots. We'll just take a little break before we hit the hands and go back and do another coat of yellow. That works for me. So, the hat and the little boots for now, we are going to be using this color here. It's like this turquoisey aqua color, but we're gonna add white to it. A nice big scoop of white, and with a pretty large portion because we've got a big area to fill. And I'm just gonna start right at the top. And just get this all filled in. Don't really worry too much about your edges of your ears. We're gonna go back in with like a dark gray and kind of do a quick outline, so that'll clean up those. So you can be a little sloppy. I mean, you don't want to get crazy or anything, but don't ruin your experience by, you know, meticulously doing your edges. So as you can see, this really doesn't have the best coverage while I work. So I've got this little section here. I'm just gonna slap a little bit more of the turquoise on there just to ensure my paint is wet. And I'm gonna just dip my dirty brush right in some plain white, and I'm just gonna blend that in. And that just helps with my coverage. So it creates streaks that now look intentional rather than just crappy coverage. So I'll do a little bit more of the blue down here, and then I'll just a little bit of white on my brush, and I'm just gonna blend that in through. We do go back in and do some shadows. So some areas will be getting hit with a bit of a darker color. Make sure I'm getting that white outline pencil mark covered with my paint, because I don't want that to be there when I'm finished. I'm sticking my hand in wet paint. A little bit of white on my brush. Just make sure you have nice, smooth, even paint. I'm gonna say it a million times. Globbies are not our friends. Come down here. Got this little section and this little section. Especially with these smaller spaces that we're filling in, do not put a bunch of paint on your brush. How did I get, what is happening? Oh, nice. All right, so to get that off, if you end up doing something similar, I'm just gonna dip my towel, I've got my little paper towel, into my jar that has water in it. I don't want it like dripping, but I want it wet. And then I can just kind of dab at that paint. It works better if it's still wet. If it's dry, you're kind of SOL. But that little bit that I have on there is so faint. I think that it's the lesser of two evils to just leave it alone than try to cover it and make it match. So I'm gonna have to just roll with that. Let's see, I'm gonna do this little brim. I'm doing my brush strokes like long left to right for this part. Okay, so now I'm just gonna come back up here. And this isn't gonna be a full-on another coat. I'm just gonna brush on quick, just to help get a little bit more coverage. But I mean, you're welcome to do a whole like thick coat. I like the variation, so it kind of gives it a little bit more interest rather than just a solid flat coat of one color. And when we add the shadows in, that's gonna just look like it's part of that. So just another quick once over. All right, I like it. Maybe just a little bit more white swooped on through. Yeah, that looks nice. So that's just a little white brushed in with that. I'm gonna do the boots. So they're the same color. Just do a nice thin, even coat. My boots always tend to grow a little. Do overlap a little onto the beard. You don't want any wood showing. This bottom edge. I hate doing the outside edge of the wood. Always get a little shaky. There he's got his little shoes. I'm going to clean out my brush, go back and do another coat of yellow on my egg. You definitely want to get all that blue color out of your bristles. Nice clean brush. My yellow, same yellow as before. It's got the white mixed in. Don't put your the heel of your hand down in that wet turquoise that we just painted like I did. So I'm just gonna clean off my hand so I don't transfer it down. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. 3 coats covers pretty well. I'm satisfied. Okay. So now I can go ahead and do his little paws, little arms and little hands. And it's the same color that we did the hat and the boots. It's our turquoise with the white mixed in. Try not to rest my hand in wet paint. And I do overlap a little under the beard. The little hands are gonna need another coat. I should probably switch to a small brush for that thumb, but I'm lazy. Oop, got some wet yellow there, mixing in with my hand. That's okay. Yellow's a pretty easy color to hide. Oh my, he's got a wonky hand. There, that's better. Yeah, you guys probably gonna want to use a smaller brush so you don't do what I'd be doing. So while this is drying, I'll go back to my boots. Give them another quick once over, especially where I put my hand in it. La-di-da. I might just take a little bit of white on my dirty brush. I'll blend that in. I'll do it one shoe at a time. Do the original turquoise color. And then when I'm finished, I'll just blend some white through it. Now I can do another coat on the hands. I'll try to be more careful this time. Still or nothing. I'm still using the big brush. Yep. Got a little outside the line. Then I'm gonna just take a little bit of white on my dirty brush. That's a lot of bit of white. And I'll just blend that in. And it's very little bit, because there's not far for it to go. There. And I'm gonna go in and add shadows into, I'm gonna do them on the hat, and I'm gonna do them on, did you put my hand in that again? Yep. So I'm gonna add shadows to the feet and shadows to the hat. So I've got my dirty brush that's got this blue color, this turquoise. You don't need to clean it. I'm just gonna take a little dab of red and just slowly mix in a little bit at a time till I get the color I want. And I'm just gonna stir it in with this blue. Excuse me. So it does kind of make it a purpley color. I don't want it that dark, so I'm just gonna keep adding a little bit more blue in, just so that it's slightly darker than what we started with. So I can clearly see that this color is darker than this color. And I hope to God my hand is not in the way. I think I'm good. So using this color, just very little on my brush, I'm gonna scrape the excess off. And I'll start down here on his little boots. And I'm just, oh, I can be a little darker. All right, it's better to be cautious. So I'm just gonna add a little bit more red in. I mean, I wanna be able to see it, but I don't want it to be so dark. Okay, let's try this again. Yeah, that's better. So just a little bit kind of on the boots. It's very little paint on your brush. You're just lightly just sketching it on. Maybe a little in the crack where they meet. So I just went floop, floop. Then we got his little boots. I'm gonna add some to the hat. So kind of along this edge here, I'm just back and forth, just a little on my brush. I'll kind of come in on the edges. Hi, so that did not go well. Apparently, my phone battery didn't die completely, but reached 20% and decided it couldn't make a movie anymore. There's got to be some way that it freaking notifies you, so at least you know that I quit doing it, so you can, you know, stop what you're doing and continue on with your life. Anyway, instead of painting this all over again, I am just going to point out and explain the steps that we are missing. So I watched the video, stopped it at the end where you guys ended, so that I could just kind of take notes of what we need to do yet. So, I was showing you when this stopped unexpectedly. I believe, was putting in the dark bluish purpley color. This, like we had done on the boots. We got to the brim of the hat. You also are gonna go in and just a little bit in this area with that color. And it's very little on your brush. A little bit here. I put some in here where the ears kind of overlap and would cast a shadow. A little up in here where this ear overlaps, a little shadow. And I just kind of brushed it lightly down through the side of this hat here. You can kind of see. Just pay no mind to the dark gray and the white that's there at this time. Just kind of focus on this like dark turquoisey color. All right, so when you are finished that, we then are going to add the stripes to his arms. Ignore the outlines and the shadow. We will do them eventually. So this color is basically just like that shadow color that we had made, which we added a little bit of red to, but we need to make it just a smidge darker. So to do that, sorry, I'm pointing and it's not even in view. So this was our shadow color. I just made the same color but darker by adding just a little bit more red. And then with my smaller brush, I went in and just did my stripes. So they kind of have a little curve to them. So I got 3 on each. If you end up with less or more, that's fine. Not a big deal. So just take your time doing those. Let's see, what's on my note here? Oh, the dots on the eggs would be our next step. I'm sorry, I'm probably going way too fast for you. just pause it. Next step is the dots on our egg. And to make that kind of orangey color, it's kind of like an orangish coral. So I used this yellow that we added white to when we painted the egg. I'm just taking a little bit of red. I just added a little bit of red to that color, and it made this nice kind of orangey color. And I use my smaller brush. I don't even know where it's at. I use my smaller brush, and I just painted all those in. So just when you do that, make sure you kind of run some off your edge. And I mean, you can place them wherever. It doesn't have to be like mine. And let's see. Nose. We did not get to the nose. Nose, very simple. We did 2 coats. I did 2 coats. You haven't yet, but you're gonna do 2 coats. And it's just the tiniest little bit of your Venetian red, this kind of burnt orange color. It's a scoop of white, pretty good sized scoop of white. So you're gonna want a lot more white than you do this orange. And then just slowly just stir in little bits of this orangey color at a time until you kind of reach the desired shade. Mine's kind of light. It could be a little bit darker if you want, just so that it's kind of fleshy and looks like skin. Then I just think we have just a little bit of detail work left, and it would just be highlighting the areas with white and then going in with the dark gray and putting a little bit of quick outline, and we would have whiskers. So I will just point out where I did the highlights so you can see that easily. I like to use my medium brush because it holds more paint, and I'm a little lazy, so I don't ever like to go back more times than necessary. So when you can get, a smaller line, like if you did here, you probably want a skinny line, so a smaller brush, whatever you decide. But it was just plain white. I have a white highlight up here, and they're just kind of just quick. Like I didn't like strategically just real slow put them in. I just whoop them, just whoop, just real fast. I've got a little white above here. I got a couple little whoops there. I did my shoes. These quick lines that come down the side of the gloves, arms, whatever they are. I've got just a quick swoop on the top of the nose. And then swoop on the egg, swoop on the egg. And then next I'll just point out the dark gray kind of outlines. And dark gray, so I'll show you how I mixed it. So on my plate, we already had this kind of dark gray-ish color in the beard. We do need that to be a little bit darker. So you're just gonna add more black to your color. So mine's all dried up because I did not realize I only had half a video till I was home watching it. But fortunately, I could pick this out of the trash. So just make sure that your dark gray color is, a little bit darker than this gray you have in your beard. And to do that, you would just add a little bit more black and with some gray. And I swooped on the bottom of my shoes. I did quick swoops on the sides of them, and I just kind of stuck to the right hand side. I got down in where they meet, just very quick around my egg. I did around my little hands. Oops. I went a little bit slower, and I used a smaller brush when I did my nose just because I didn't want to mess that up. You're going to go around your nose. I have the dark gray here, here, and just, it's just loose. It's not like a steady, meticulous outline. I just do it quick and loose. On the edges, I kind of put like a little bend in my line just to try to make it look maybe like it's a little bit wrinkled, like kind of slouchy down. I mean, I guess it's fabric. So I just, a little bit on the sides. I did the sides of my hat here and up here. And I did just kind of, not wavy, but they're very just loose and fluid lines. So the hat. And then with the ears, I just defined a little bit on my outside edges of my ears. And then within where the pink starts, and again, it's not meticulous, perfect outlining. I just do quick, loose, like lift the brush, put the brush back down, and defined this fold. Lastly, I think I've said everything. It's hard to know for sure because what I'm looking at is done, and I can't really remember what I've already explained. Whiskers, it's still very dark gray. I know it looks black, but so this was my dark gray that I used for my outline, this one here. And then I just added a little bit more black to that. So you can see it's just a little bit darker. And I used my small brush, and they're just kind of wiggly. They just look scraggly little weird whiskery things. And I think that covers everything. I really hope so. I'm not even sure I can figure out how to like insert a clip into a previous video, but by God, I shall figure it out. Worst case scenario, I just have to upload part 1 and part 2. So I'm really hoping I can get it all together as one. That would be ideal. But I apologize. Next time, for sure, I'm going to make sure my phone is plugged in while doing the video so that doesn't happen, because that's all I can think of what did happen. There's no other real explanation as to why my video decided to just stop 45 minutes in. So yeah, please, when you're done, upload your pictures. I really want to see them. I have a post pinned on the top of my Facebook page where people can share their photos from their kits. I would really appreciate it. And yeah, they make me smile. And today has been a little rough. So obviously I'm not gonna see anything till after you paint them, and it's only Friday. And you're probably not watching this until Saturday, which is tomorrow. You might not even be doing your kit until Sunday. But please, they make my day. I've been very busy, and when I can take the time to go check my Facebook and see if anybody's added anything, it's awesome. All right, I've yammered. Okay, I think I'm very tired. All right, thank you, and hopefully I got some more adult kits coming soon. Bye-bye.